everyone. Hey everyone. This is not a podcast episode. This is just your questions answered by Golf Rules Questions. Golf Rules Explained. Blakey here from Golf Rules Questions, obviously, and I've got some questions thrown up to me by. Yep, the audio is working. Questions thrown up to me by my followers, subscribers, the community, basically, is probably the best way to say it. So on the different platforms that I use. So what I'm going to do is answer them live on air. I'm going to try and make this a weekly occurrence because I do get hundreds of questions, and some will be the same, but some will be slightly different, and some will come out of nowhere. So looking forward to this regular segment. I'll still be doing the podcast, just not live stream. I think the live stream of the podcast may be a little bit too hectic for me, and want to make sure that everything looks good and sounds good, so you'll keep listening and the community will keep going and be stronger and stronger for it. Before I get into it, you'd obviously ask questions. Feel free to ask questions, and feel free to buy a hoodie from my merch shop, from Spread Shop. Feel free to buy one of those. Everything that is purchased obviously goes towards helping this brand grow and grow and grow. And you can also become a member of my YouTube account. It's $1.49 a month at this stage for the bogey membership, and the par membership's about $5.99 or something like that, so very cheap. Anyway, your questions answered. Live stream number 1. So I had Carl from Instagram ask a question: is the ball considered to be on the green when almost half of the ball is on the green but not touching the green? So the answer to this, Carl, is the ball is not on the green unless it is touching the green. So even if it's overhanging the green, it's not considered to be on the green. There is an exception, and usually there is. There is an exception to this, in that if your ball is on top of a movable obstruction that is on the green, or on top of loose impediments, then your ball is considered to be on the green. But if it's just on the fringe, overhanging the green but not touching the grass that is has been mowed to the green height, then the ball is not considered to be on the green. If it was up in a tree overhanging the green, then again it's not considered to be on the green. It would be in the general area if it was in a tree overhanging green, even if that tree was in a penalty area. However, if that penalty area, it's going to be the same. If that tree was in ground under repair and then it was overhanging the green, well, the tree would be in the ground under repair, which would be in the general area anyway. Right, so that was Carl from Instagram. Thank you. Andre SD11 from YouTube. I posted a penalty area rules explained this morning, and Andre just had some questions about when it comes back into the penalty area. Say you hit it on the green and it spins back, or it hits a tree and comes back in. We got that sorted. He just wanted to know about a yellow penalty area. What's the difference? I said that you don't get the 2 club lengths in which to drop the relief area, the lateral relief. You don't get that for a yellow penalty area. And he came back and said, now on this vid there are 2 club lengths, and on the one you just replied said 1 club length. So is it 1 or 2? And just wanted to know about when it is 1 club length and when it's 2. So for a penalty area, if you're going back to the previous place played, which is in the general area, bunker, or another penalty area, it's going to be 1 club length from where you played from. Back on the line, it's 1 club length, unless that local rule E12 is in, which is not a great one. And or 2 club lengths when it's a lateral relief drop. And the same goes for an unplayable. If you're going back to your last place played, it's going to be 1 club length unless you're in the teeing area or on the putting green. But let's say you're in the general area, it's going to be 1 club length. Back on the line, it's going to be 1 club length again, unless you've got that E12. Or it's going to be 2 club lengths if you're taking lateral relief for an unplayable. So thank you, Andre, and keep asking questions. Now, Lauren sent an email. Do you have to write your scores down on a scorecard in match play and hand it in to the committee? No, Lauren. You do not have to write your scores down on a scorecard, and you don't have to hand it in to the committee. So two answers there. A, the committee aren't interested in a scorecard. They're only interested in the result of the match. And B, if you want to keep a scorecard, go for it. But there is no requirement that you keep a scorecard. Now, I know some jurisdictions do say that you can be handicapped for a match play score, which does seem a bit ridiculous. The principle behind it is that some people were, because some jurisdictions play a lot of match play or handicap match play, especially handicap pennant, and people were going out and practicing, not handing in cards, and then they go and win their match 7-6 or 8-7. And so they dictated that, well, you now must hand in a match play score, your match play card for your handicap, to adjust your handicap, to try and stop, burglars out there, or sandbaggers as they're called in the US. So, Lauren, no, you don't have to use a scorecard in match play unless that jurisdiction wants you to hand in a score. Kerry from Facebook. A player makes a stroke and outflies 2 golf balls. Is there a penalty for hitting a wrong ball? Well, Kerry, an interesting question you've asked here. Firstly, we need to make an assumption that one of the balls is the player's ball, and if so, then there is no penalty for hitting a wrong ball, because they've made a stroke at their ball, and they've hit their ball, and so they haven't hit a wrong ball. They've hit another ball, and whether that ball is in play and belongs to someone else, or it's an abandoned ball, there's going to be a different process in how to get that ball back onto that spot, or just throw it away, whatever, or just leave it alone. If it is another person's ball, then they'll have to replace it and go through the altered lie situation. But if it's an abandoned ball, then pick it up, or don't worry about it, or whatever. And your ball, you just play it from where it now lies. There's no penalty there. If they were both a wrong ball, if they were both not your balls, then you would get a penalty of wrong ball. You wouldn't get 2 penalties for hitting 2 wrong balls. It's just 1 stroke. You'd get a penalty for hitting a wrong ball, and then you'd have to go and find your ball, or take a lost ball and go and play from your previous place played where you last hit your correct ball. So, good question though, Kerry. I've actually got there's a couple of situations on Instagram and Facebook where I've posted this. There's another situation where Phil Mickelson on YouTube. Phil Mickelson actually tries to hit his ball, and another ball pops out from the rough or wherever he was trying to hit from. So, good example there by Phil. And then I've got one here from Ani from Ghana. He sent through a voice message on Facebook, which I'll read out. He was 99% virtually certain, or I'll do it in first person. I was 99% virtually certain that I hit my ball out of bounds. 99% virtually certain. So I hit another ball off the tee, but announced that it is a provisional ball before I hit it. I walked down to the fairway and found my original ball. A group on another hole then tell me that they saw a security guard throw the ball back in bounds. This security guard knows nothing about golf. I continued by playing both my original ball and my provisional ball, but what is the ruling? Well, the ruling is based on the facts, and the facts are that a group told you that they saw a security guard throw the ball back in bounds. So they're talking about your ball, plus the fact that you were 99% virtually certain that you hit it out of bounds. You called it a provisional, which is you're more than entitled to do, but the other ball, the original ball, was out of bounds as through the facts that you've found out. So you've continued playing both the original ball and the provisional ball, which is fine in stroke play under Rule 20 point. OBS has reconnected. That's great. 20.1C3. That's it. Playing two balls when uncertain what to do. That's fine what you've done because you weren't sure, but the provisional ball is the ball in play, and that's the score that will count. So thank you very much, Arnie from Ghana. So great to hear that there's golf being played all over the world. Now we've gone through the just get some questions up here. What can I do here? Oh, here we go. So we've gone through your questions answered for week 1. Franco, what are some of the reasons golfers like yourself enforce these rules when you're just playing with your mates? I like it, but I'm curious to know the thought process. Thanks. Well, I was talking to my dear friend Fraser Nichol. We actually recorded a podcast episode, which I'll get out in the next couple of days. And we talked about this. And the reason is, whatever strange, weird, or wonderful rules there are, they are what golf is. They create what golf is, if that makes sense. So without those weird, wonderful rules, golf, it's not golf. Okay? So we all have opinions on what the rules should or shouldn't be, but at the moment they are these, and that is how you should play. And if you want to say that you shot an 80, then we all know what an 80 is under those rules. But if someone else says they shot a 79, but they always chuck their ball out of the bunker, or they tee off from wherever they want to start play of a hole, then is it really a 79 for what golf is? No, it's whatever they made up. So Franco, great question. I get it all the time. People are able to go out there and start a version of golf to just get into the game. Great. There's nothing wrong with playing social golf, playing with your friends, having a bet and you've got your own rules. That's fine. Do whatever you want. But if you want to officially play golf, then these are the sets of rules that you have to play by for it to be deemed golf. So yeah, awesome question there, Franco. James T, howdy. Question: a friend of mine hits his drive solid, but due to strong wind, it went through to another fairway. However, we couldn't find his ball after searching. We believe it was stolen by the group in front. What is the option here? Staleford game. James, you need to be at least 95% virtually certain. It needs to be known, or at least 95% virtually certain, that your ball has been taken, or your friend's ball has been taken by an outside influence. So another person, an animal, a mode of transport, a vehicle, that kind of thing. That's what an outside influence is. So if you're not virtually certain, it's most likely. This happens a lot with crows. Birds, crows, especially in Australia, where they'll go and pick up the balls and take them to their nest. And, you can't just claim that, it should have been here. This is exactly where it would have been in the fairway. You just can't claim that. you have to have at least 95% virtual certainty. Otherwise, it's just a lost ball and you have to go back to your previous place played, your last place played, which possibly is a tee shot, since you said drive. And that's your only option. In a Staleford game, it might be that you just wipe the hole, whatever, but that's how the ruling goes. PSY01, hi mate, I was called off the course back to the clubhouse for lightning. Fortunately never had this issue before where I live. Should I have left my ball as it was in hopes of getting allowed back out? This is a great question, actually. It doesn't happen that often, PSY, but it does happen. And when it happens, you want to get off the course as quick as you can. With suspending play, you can either leave the ball there, you can either mark the ball and leave the ball there, or you can mark the ball and pick the ball up. What you might see, I find this one of the most difficult things, especially when it's a suspension of darkness, and in tour events, and we get all the players to mark their balls, and they might just use a coin, they might use a tee. Some use 3 tees, which I really like, where you put 1 tee on, you create a triangle around your ball, and then pick your ball up. The people, the greenkeepers, the maintenance staff must have an absolute hell of a time cutting the grass in the morning when there's markers or ball markers all over the green. But what they'll do is and this is at 5 a.m, or if it in really early start, 4:30 in the morning. What they'll do is they'll have a little spotlight in their head, see where the marker is, stop, move the marker, mow, put the marker back, and keep mowing. I'm sure that markers have been driven over, have been cut up, and in that case, you just estimate the spot where the ball was at rest and just replace your ball. And if your ball was stolen, you just replace another ball. And it's one of the it's not a strange rule, because this does happen in free relief under Rule 16.1, but it's an interesting situation in that if you come back out there and actually just want to change your ball for any reason, PSY, you can just change your ball. It hasn't been stolen, it's not cut or cracked. Because you're resuming play, you can actually replace your ball. Awesome. Hope that answered all your question there. Stuart, good friend of mine. Stuart, speaking of crows, they are notorious for taking yellow Titleist balls at Barnbougle. Only yellow Titleist. We saw several taken in May. Always yellow balls. Crazy. So, everyone, public service announcement. If you are going to play Barnbougle, do not use yellow Titleist balls. Do not use yellow Titleist balls. I'm sure... any kind of yellow ball, so just stick to the white ones. I'm not sure about orange ones. Stuart, you might be able to give me some info on that. Crembley Q, a player decides to putt from off the green and in doing so hits another player's ball on the green. Is this considered a putt even though it is from off the green and incurs the penalty? Player decides to putt from off the green and doing so hits another player's ball on the green. Is this considered a putt even though it's from off the green and incur a penalty? This is there is no such thing as in the rules of what a putt is. I know that sounds dumb, but you use a putter on the green, or no, well, you don't even have to use it on the green, but a putter is a type of implement, tool, club. So most of the time when you're using that club, it's called putting, or you're making a putt, right? But that could be on or off the green. But if you use a different club on the green, statistically, like the stats on the tour, that's still called a putt. So I know that's a slightly off your question, but if you're on the green with your ball's on the green, it's considered a putt even if you chip it, statistically. But doesn't matter where you are, if you use the putter, that is also what we would consider a putt, even if you're off the green. But statistically, it's not considered a putt unless you're on the green, whatever club you use. Anyway, your second question, no, you don't incur a penalty if you make a stroke at your ball off the green and it hits a ball on the green. There's no penalty under 11.1a, but there's potentially a penalty under 15.3 A or B? 15.3a or b, the helping, and that's only if there was an agreement, and that agreement could be tacitly, only if there was an agreement. So that's 15.3a, ball on putting green helping play. There would only be a penalty if there was an agreement. I hope that answers your question, Crembley Q. Franco, back again. How often do the rules of golf get adjusted or added to? Great question. We had a massive change in 2019, 1 January 2019, which was the biggest change since 1984, where the whole book was turned upside down. The language was slightly modified and went from 34 rules down to 24. But that was a 5-year wait since the previous adjustment. But the adjustment in 2014 was minuscule compared to 2019. But they get changed every 4 years. Every 4 years. So 2019. So the next big change will be 2023. Obviously, if with the digital age, if some rules need some more clarification, and that's what they're called clarifications. If they need some more clarification or slight tweaking, they release clarifications every 3 months. In 2019 and 2018 even, 2018, 2019 and 2020 we saw a lot of clarifications. We haven't seen so many clarifications in the last 6 to 9 months. But yeah, Franco, every 4 years. So 2023 there'll be another release. And Stuart, whilst the player has full discretion when conceding strokes to the opponent in match play, I am interested in your thoughts as to a suitable distance for concession. Does it change closer to end of match? Right, so we saw, you might have seen Bryson DeChambeau lay his putter down and sort of have a bit of a gripe. Have a bit of a gripe about the length of putt that the Europeans made him putt, Victor Hovland and whoever was on the first hole. You know, if I saw a player do that, you know, he's trying to get the crowd welled up. They love it, all that kind of thing. But if I saw a player doing that, I wouldn't give him anything from there on. I would absolutely get under his skin. I wouldn't care, you know, if he had a 1-inch putt, I would still make him putt it, because, you know, he obviously is trying to make a point, and I'll just make a point. Hey, if it's so short and you think you can make it, just make it, mate. So this is the awesome thing about match play, Stuart, in that, you know, you have that power to concede a stroke, a hole, a match. And you're the one that has that power. It's not up to the opponent. They can look at you, give you death stares, but you know the awesome thing about match play is it's gamesmanship. If they are, you know, really stressed over a 1-footer, as if you're going to give it to them. You know, I know that there, you know, and you alluded to it. There are some people that will give you putts, you know. For the first 9 holes, I'll give you everything under 6 foot, everything, and then after, you know, 9 holes, you have to make everything, and so you haven't really practiced, and you don't know how you feel, and now it's starting to get really nervous and all that kind of thing. I've never been one for that kind of thing, but you know, I'll see what the situation is as to whether I'm going to give the 1 foot, the 2 foot putts. You know, I tried to get under the skin of one of my friends when we were playing match play in a competition. It didn't work. He pantsed me 5 and 4 or whatever. I was just trying something because I knew that he was going to be better than me. Right, James T. Boards, Brooks right in the Ryder Cup. Lots of opinions there. I posted this one, and then the PGA of America took it down, which they're entitled to do. It's their content, so I chopped it down and put it up with the second referee, which is totally, which they were happy about. They monetize it, not me, and they were happy that I did. That they were happy for me having chopped out some part of it. So, but for me, it was important because I got the better part of the. I felt the better part, the second part with Mark Litton. Although, David Price is an amazing referee. But, the second referee coming in, the first referee stands off. There's no conversation there. It's all about the second referee just learning about what the situation is. And he knows why he's there. So he knows why he's there. So he knows that the first referee didn't give Brooks relief because it's obviously still in the grass. It's not like the referee gives Brooks relief and then Brooks goes, no, I want a second opinion. I don't want relief. Now, was he correct? As you said, lots of opinions. My opinion, and I wasn't even there, I'm only going off the video, was the referees got it right. Yes, he did touch the grass, where they were pointing, but we don't actually know and can't see how far down the immovable obstruction is. And I would say that if it was on the surface level, they would have given it. They could see that he was going to make this downward strike, but it must have been, 3-4 inches down into the ground and, in a spot that the player wouldn't have had interference no matter how hard he tried. So I think they got it right, but, there's awesome opinions. I mean, the other video that I posted, James, about the Solheim Cup, the rule is 13.1. Everyone knows that. It's great, fantastic. Now it just comes down to whose opinion matters. Was it overhanging and was it not? And that was the vote, Do you think it's overhanging or do you think it's not? The ruling was made. The referee, who was a signed referee, thought it was overhanging. So, yeah, she ruled in favour of the Americans. We still know what the rule is, and then it just comes down to the opinion. Franco signed up as a PAR member. Fantastic. Thank you, buddy. Love that. Can you name some of your favourite players over the years that truly understand the game and rules of golf? Oh, Jordan Spieth. He's very good at the rules of golf. You can tell that he's done a little bit of studying. He's, they always get them wrong, or a few get wrong every now and then. Nothing, I get them wrong. So, in those heated situations, I can understand that. But, Jordan Spieth certainly looks to know his stuff. They say Tiger Woods is pretty good. Not sure about that. He gets into that many situations, and this is probably, Franco, a better answer for your question. I know some players out there that wouldn't even know, the definition of a teeing area or conforming clubs, ball, what a penalty area is, what the difference between a red and a yellow penalty area. I would know some players on tour that wouldn't know the difference between a red and yellow penalty area. But they'll know exactly how to take relief from a grandstand. They'll know exactly how to take relief if a spectator's picked up their ball. They'll know exactly how to mark your ball when players going to be suspended because of lightning. These are things that happen to them more than they happen to the regular golfer. So they know all those really specific, funny rules. Whereas they don't know the basics because they've never opened the book. They just know what's happened to them. So that's a really interesting, great question there. Some other players. Can I think of any other players? I don't have a great number of players that do know the rules. all I know is the ones I remember better, the ones that don't know the rules, because I'm thinking, how do you not know that? But, it's not their job to know that. It's their job to hit a driver 280 metres straight down the middle of the fairway, 80% of the round. So I'll actually come back. Maybe next episode, I'll think about some more golfers who I've crossed paths with and, whether they knew the rules or didn't know the rules. That's a great question. Leave it with me. Stuart, I thought I had Brooks being genuinely concerned he was going to injure himself. He would have proceeded under 19.2 and eliminated the possibility of hitting the IO. That's a good question. If he thought that he was going to hit the IO, he should have taken unplayable. Thanks to Franco, can you name some of your favourite commentators over the years that truly understand the game? There aren't too many commentators that know the rules of golf. I prefer it when the commentating team get a rules of golf expert on. That's a lot better. It's not a lot better for me because I don't have content, for the YouTube. But when the US Open's on, I think they had Craig Winter on, and he's second in rules at the USGA. Amazing, just fantastic to have someone like Craig. Providing he wrote the thing, so that he's gonna be spot on with exactly how the rules are going. Ray, is it okay to threaten referees? Does the PGA have a code of conduct? Yes. This wasn't a PGA Tour event. This was a PGA of America, PGA of Europe, or the British PGA, which they've merged. I'm going to get that wrong. The British PGA and the European Tour, they've merged, so they won basically as one. Or they work very, very closely together, maybe not as one. But whereas the PGA of America and PGA Tour are very much separate, but then they have a few events together. Is it okay to threaten referees? Though the player, the referees in that case, they wouldn't have been too. They would have been a bit disgusted at Brooks and certainly Daniel Berger's. He got caught on the kitten mic. They would have been disgusted at how they reacted, but they could understand the player in the heat of the moment. But yeah, it wasn't a great look for TV, and like I always say, that kind of thing gets judged publicly. So now we know that those two players are a little bit of a tantrum throwing, have a bit of a tantrum throwing type thing when they don't get their way. Jerry, Mickelson knows the rules pretty good. It's interesting you say that, Jerry, because what happened at the US Open when he hit the moving ball and said, "Oh, I know the rules," and I just got sick of it, and I was going to roll down the hill. So the case with Phil Mickelson, he's been in these situations a lot, and he's learnt through being in these situations a lot. What does he know a lot of? He knows when someone picks up, a spectator picks up his ball, what to do. He knows when the ball's on cables, what to do. Again, behind the grandstand, the guys, when they're behind the grandstand, they're either looking for a dropping zone, or they're just going to the other side of the grandstand. They know they've been in that situation many, many times. I mean, this is the thing which is a bit terrible. Like, it's not great, but some of these players will aim for the grandstands knowing that they can get free relief. They'll just hit one behind a grandstand and they can get out from go in front of it, or they hit it in the grandstand, whatever. Fly it over the green, use it as a backboard. We saw that at the the LPGA, the ANA Inspirational. I can't remember what its new name is now. I think, was that it? Anyway, we saw that last year with that stupid wall, where the players were just hitting into the wall as a backboard. But there's some interesting players out there. Patrick Reed, Patrick Reed probably knows the rules very well. Patrick Reed, does he play by them? No, he doesn't. But so he probably knows them just as well as anyone. It's like a defense lawyer. If you know the law so well, you can work out how to get your client off the charges. So, I'm not a fan of Patrick. Possibly a nice guy, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and if you're going to be like that, when it's so easy not to cheat. I don't understand. He's a very good golfer, Patrick. I just don't understand why you have to be that close to, on the border of playing by the rules. Just play by the rules. It's very easy. Right, I don't have any more comments, questions. That went for 35 minutes, which was fantastic. And I think I like this format. I think this format is a lot better than doing the live podcast. So this time slot might not work for everyone, but I really appreciate those people that turned up. It's probably better for the Australians, and we've got some time changes coming up this weekend. Australia heads into daylight savings time, so it'll be 9 p.m. here this time next week. So that might mean, Jerry, you have to get up even earlier to see me. But I will maybe I'll do a morning show or something like that, Saturday morning or something like that, to get all my what do you call it, UTC time zone, Western time zone, something like that, Western Pacific. But thank you everyone for joining, and Franco, thanks for becoming a member. Absolutely love that. Appreciate everyone joining in. That was really good chat. So looking forward to doing it again soon. And remember, without rules, there's chaos.